Okay, well, here we are with Jordan Tabaldo, who surprisingly is also related to me, Tabaldo on Tech. Shannon Tabaldo. This is my oldest daughter, and she has her YouTube channel called Planet Joe. Jordan, you want to tell us a little bit about that before we get into this video?
Sure. So on that channel, I talk about planning, lifestyle, and organization, mostly planning, but a little bit of the other things as well. And I just wanted to dive into digital planning, which obviously there's a crossover with your channel, Paperless Professor. So we decided to do a little collab for you
Yeah,
guys.
my first collab. So this video will be a little bit different than some of the other 2-minute videos and tech tools. But what I did have requests on, which prompted me to reach out to Jordan and see if she wanted to do a collab, was some of the comments that I was getting on digital note taking, and I had recently done another collab with the Inner Circle Tom Solid and the Paperless Movement, where I talked about my note taking. But really, you are a real paper planner kind of gal,
Yeah.
and I live and die by my digital calendar. But one of the struggles that I was really having was I'm in my second big semester of my doctoral program, and I have been really struggling with staying on top of changing due dates and assignments and things like that. Don't worry, everything's fine. But as I felt like I needed a better system, potentially than just using Todoist, which is what I typically use for my to-do list. But this was more of like this planning for school that I've been struggling with to try to find a good system. So you kind of said you had a system that you were using in school, and you've kind of morphed that into what would be Notion. Now you're out of school, you graduated from college already.
Yes.
So you're going to show us some of the things that you did while you were in school and what that looks like. So start us off by just kind of taking us through what your thought process was in the digital space and how it's different from the paper space.
Right. So, like you said, I definitely use paper planners a lot more in depth. But with you as my mom, I definitely also utilize in school, I was utilizing Google Calendar, Google Docs, all of those types of things to organize my life in addition to my main paper planners. And then recently I was introduced to Notion, which I've started to use for my life planning, I guess you could say. And so I'm uploading a video about that on my main channel. But as I kind of got more into Notion, you brought this up to me, and then my boyfriend, who's also in the middle of his master's program, kind of brought it up to me that you both are in need of a digital planner to help you with your schoolwork. So he's also very much a digital planner. He doesn't like, no matter how hard I try, the paper planners just aren't it. So that kind of gave me the motivation to look into using Notion as a tool for people who are in school. As you said, I'm not in school anymore. So the sample things that you're going to see are example classes from when I was in school and how I would have used Notion had I known about it when I was in school. So we're going to be linking a template down in the description that has like just filler text in it for you to take and fill in all of your assignments, all of your class information. But yeah, that was kind of my thought process when I was creating this example school Notion template.
Awesome. Well, let's dive right in. You can share your screen, and I think the
Yeah.
first thing. So we're getting ready here in my class, and I think in your boyfriend's class too. Is we're getting ready to kind of end the semester here in December, and then
Mhm.
in January we'll pick up again. And that's why I wanted to get this video out, because it will require some setup, kind of
Yeah.
on the front end, but then hopefully it'll make our next semesters a little bit easier. So I'll let you share your screen and kind of get us started with your template and what you're going to share with us.
Definitely. So I will go in here. So now you can see we're in Notion. This is the sample page that I've set up. So you can see over here, the main page that I have is called School Landing. And like I said, this is how I would use Notion if I was in school still. So the main page, first thing you click on, you see all of the classes. These are real classes that I took. And then down here, you scroll down, and I have a calendar view of all of the assignments that I have to do for those classes and the dates that they're due. So just because this is how I would like to look at it at a glance, but there are also different views that I have. So the second view is all of the assignments in order of date that they're due. So in this sample thing, it shows the completed check boxes here, and then you have the course over here, the name here, and then, oh, what type of assignment is this? So let's see, I have a presentation due, and so it says presentation. And then you can also open each assignment as its own page. Let's say I had the lines that I had to memorize, I had them in a PDF. It would be possible for me in here to say PDF and then embed the PDF of the scene that I had to memorize if I wanted to, which I really like. It's a lot of nesting of pages, which I think is really helpful in school. And when I was in school, I was using something basically like this. I made a table in Google Docs, Google Sheets, and I printed it out, and it was the same thing. It had the check boxes, it had the date, the type of thing, the course, and it was all color coded, very similar to this. So that is the table view.
So I'm gonna interrupt. This all came from a syllabus. So your professors gave you syllabi that had kind of a lot of the stuff preloaded on this, which I think is still the case. I mean, even in my doc program, most of my syllabus has at least some of the big stuff in it. It doesn't have a lot of the minutia. And what I'm thinking right now is just looking at this. So two things. One is Notion is free.
It is.
And so you can just go to notion.com. You can download the app, and it's web-based and it's app-based, and it's on all of your devices. And if you download this template that you made and customize it to yourself, how are you inputting? Are you going to show us how to input some of this? Like if there, let's say there's a new assignment that the teacher just gave us, we didn't know about it, it wasn't on the syllabus.
Right, so pretty simple. If you're in table view, it's even easier, but I would suggest navigating to table view if, for example, you have the calendar view as your default view. So if you just navigate into table view, hit new, like, oh, let's say I have a partner scene, and that would be in my acting Shakespeare class. That would be a presentation. We'll say that that is actually going to be due this day. So now you can see it moved it automatically right to where it belongs in the chronological order of your assignments. And then you can say, oh, I met with my partner once. We'll say that that's in progress. So very easy. And then, as you can see, there's the status done, in progress, and not started. So if you go over here to board view, if you're a fan of Trello or anything that uses the Kanban organization method, that's when you would go in here and you're able to click and drag these cards here, right? That's how Trello works, and that's how the Kanban system works. It's very much a workflow, not started, in progress, done. So you're able to do that, and it'll automatically change in the table view as well. So now that this is done.
It changed it over there.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions about this basic assignment landing page?
No, so this is good because I think I mentioned in the beginning that I live and breathe from the calendar system. So this calendar isn't integrated in any way into my Google Calendar. It's just a standalone school eye view of the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed is everything has a due date, but what if I should be working on something? Like, so for example, this week I need to be working on something. Is there a span multiple days?
Yes. So my brain doesn't really work like that, but if your brain does, it is fully possible to do what is called the timeline view, which is a new feature in Notion that they just added, I think, last month. So as you can see right now here, everything is just a day, and that's the day it's due. That's the only day that it spans on. But let's say we had a longer project like this comparative poetry paper. Let's say that that is actually, I should be working on that the whole month of January, right? You can have an end date. So the start date is going to be January 4th. And in here, if you wanted, you could create a new, like just a to-do list of all the different assignments. You could create a new table with all of the different assignments. It's really up to you. But when you go to the timeline view here, you can see, oh, I need to be working on this paper until this day when it's due, January 21st, it's due. But I need to start working on it on the 4th. And then in here, if you have a bunch of different subtasks, like a first draft, editing, second draft, due, and then you can put dates here. This won't necessarily go anywhere else, like it won't show up in your assignments list. It's just when you click on this sub page, it'll show up. So you can have that and then check it off here.
Got it.
Like I said, it won't show up in here. The way I would do it if I was doing this, just because, like I said, my brain doesn't necessarily function in the timeline way, I would have all of these different things put in the main assignments page. Like the first draft, if that's due on 1/7, I would have that as its own assignment. And then the second draft, I would have it as its own assignment. Due date, its own assignment. And then it's possible to add another column in your table view here, that categorizes it with project, like the project name. And then you can see if you want to sort it, or filter it, I should say, if you want to filter it with all of the different assignments that are just for that one project. Does that make sense?
Yeah, awesome. And so you had kind of told me, depending on how many classes you have as a student, I only have 2. But if you're, in this case, you took 5 that semester, this could take it anywhere with the template or without the template, an hour to 2 hours. What would you think?
Yeah, that's correct. So usually how it worked for me, and I'm sure it's different based on where you're going or what your program is, the first class, we were given a syllabus and we kind of went over that syllabus, or even sometimes before the class, we were given a syllabus. So as soon as I got that syllabus, I would enter in all of the different assignments that I had to do. And that's similar to here. Once you get your syllabus and it has all of the assignments, usually listed out by week, you can just input them right away. And then what I really like about this, as opposed to the Google Doc printed format that I was using when I was in college, is it's really easy, like I showed you, just to add a new assignment if a teacher's like, oh, hey, by the way, you have this assignment that's not in the syllabus, because that happens. Syllabi are subject to change. So it's really simple, since it's a working format, to just add a different assignment.
So let's dig a little deeper into what like a class page might look like.
Definitely. Here, let's go into my acting Shakespeare class. So here I have the name of the class, acting Shakespeare, and then I have the day of the class, the time of the class, and then the location. Obviously right now with COVID, but if you had like a Zoom password, something like that, then that could go here. The name of my professor, for privacy reasons, the email of the professor is no longer there. But that would be where that goes. And then you can have their office hour information, and then their office. Again, with COVID, probably not a thing. But again, a Zoom password or any other relevant information would work really well right there. And then here, this is the same table that's on that first page, but it's filtered where the course is acting Shakespeare. So I only see the acting Shakespeare assignments here. And then here we have the grade breakdown. So on the syllabi, you probably also have your professor writing down how much of your grade is worth each different thing. And I always found that really, really helpful to look at there. And that will be found on every page in the templates as well. And then here, this is not in the templates. This is just something that we needed for this particular class. It's a YouTube playlist of the 1984 Royal Shakespeare Company. So yeah, that's what I have on this page. And then you'll see on the other pages, I kind of customized it, but It's really easy just to customize in Notion. Let's say I didn't want my grade breakdown here. I could just drag and move it anywhere else. And that little blue line will tell me where it's going to go. But I'm going to keep it there because I like it there. So yeah. And if you want, we can look into another one, or if you have any questions about this one.
Do you have one that has like, because this embeds with Google. So if I had a Google Doc, I can do things with that as well.
So I believe that was my theater history class. Yes. So here I have that same assignments thing. I moved this over here, my date, time, and location, same professor name, professor email, office hours, and office. There's a little divider here. Grade breakdown is the same. And then here, this is linked with Google. So this is a Google Doc that was my notes for the class. And again, if I went up here and I said view original, or even clicked original right here, it would take me to my Google Drive and I'd be able to just boom right there. But for the sake of this, how I would imagine myself using it is like if I had quizzes. And so it would just be really easy for me to sit here and be like, oh, okay, this is what we learned about this week. This is where I took my notes about all of these different people. And I can just read it right there without having to go into Google and find my notes. Obviously, I'm still taking notes in Google, but for the purposes of reading my notes and studying my notes, it would be really nice to just have it right here.
So my note taking is in Notability, which you know is my favorite note taking app. Notability doesn't go here, but I could export something in Notability, you know, weekly or by module, and put it as a PDF in here, which
yeah. So here you can upload or embed. So right when you click on here, this is I just typed in dash and then file. So, and then this is what shows up. So right here, upload, and then it'll let you choose a file from your computer, or you can embed a file, which I believe is how I did this from Google. But there's also a way to just do Google, and then it'll take something from your Google Drive.
So I can see how this could really help me. I'm going to commit to using it in the next semester, which starts January 11th, and I'll report back on how it's working. But I'll be using these templates, and I have 2 brand new classes. There's no need for historical data coming over. But in this case, what would I do when the semester ends? Do I just start a new dashboard? What would I do?
So that's up to you. It's possible for you to, so if you go here, it's possible for you to just change the name of this to Spring 21, for example, and then start a new template. You just re-download my template and start over completely.
So how long have you been using Notion?
A month.
And you've like caught on to it super quick. So I've had Notion downloaded and I've been playing around with it for a long time. And I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos or interviews, is that I really hadn't wrapped my head around how to make it work until you and I had this conversation about like this could be a really good option. So I think it's definitely something I'm going to try. It's different than a digital planner that you might see that would show up in Notability or in Good Notes or something like that, because this one isn't limited to a piece of paper. This one is dynamic. So as you change something somewhere, it changes somewhere else. But it still gives you a lot of the views. I even think last week you and I discovered that I could actually bring my Todoist in here, and it would show up. It would be just an instance of Todoist embedded in there. And then is there anything else that I missed that would be really helpful for us students who are working in this digital space right now?
I think the main thing is just knowing that my templates can be customized to however you need them to be customized to. I'll just show you a couple other of these things. So in this one, I made a new database within this page. And this is database, say you're writing a research paper. I know this was something that you really needed, a way to keep track of all of these different articles that you maybe need, maybe don't need, but articles that you have to read, essentially. So for this class, I had to write a paper, and throughout the semester, I had to collect different sources for that paper. here's kind of how I did that. Each thing can be opened as its own page again, if you'd like to link a PDF or something, what have you. But here it's the tags. So you can have a different tag depending on if you have multiple papers to write or just the topic of the article that you're linking. And then it says use for. So here you can say, oh, this is for my midterm paper, this is for my final paper, and then a link. And then this link will take you directly to whatever you linked, the article, just the database page for the article, a link to your library, something like that. And this is its own database housed within this page specifically. So you won't see it on your main page, it'll just be in that class. Because I know that was something that you specifically were looking for.
Struggle with.
Yeah, so it's pretty easy. You just click new and then you type in, oh, this is the title of this article or kind of what I think this article is about. Then you type in your tags and you can use tags you've already done before. It's really easy to just click, or you can create a new tag and then it'll show up for all of your future tagging needs. Same with this one. And then you just copy and paste the link and it'll show up. Right. And then here, I also just show kind of what a Google Drive PDF looks like. So this is a PDF that was in Google Drive and I linked it. And so if I click on it, it will take me to the Google Drive PDF. But this, it just gives you a little preview, which I really like. And then if I moved this, for example, the preview would get smaller. But I'm able to really see, oh, this is a broken heart right away, which is really nice in everything. So I can show you just the template here, see how it says semester and year, and then I've added little notes as to how to use the template. So feel free to delete those once you have it kind of figured out. But here it says customize blocks for moving them around, to adjust the assignments, add an inline database and filter by course, showing only assignments from this course, and then how you can customize further.
And so, but one of the things that's in here, when you went to the / to start customizing a new thing,
yeah,
there's a lot of different things you can do. You can actually do text right on this page. You can do lists. You can do all kinds of things in here. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why when people open this up, I just heard somebody yesterday or in a YouTube video say they opened up Notion and they were like, this is just too much right now. I can't wrap my head around it. So sticking with like this kind of a basic template is nice, but knowing that there's more in there, tables and boards. And
one thing I will say is that Notion, at least from what I've found and from what I've heard from people, Notion isn't a great way to take notes. Like you don't need to take notes directly in Notion. That's not really what it's meant for. Just because the text does weird things, especially when you hit enter. And so if you need to like copy and paste that information somewhere else, it'll show up very weird when you paste it in like an actual word processing program. So my recommendation is if you're using this for school, take notes in an actual word processing program and then link it through here if you want to access it here. But Notion just isn't the right platform to take notes on.
No, I think that's really helpful because you can you see that there's add text, add headers, add all kinds of things in there. But if it's not that it's good for a note that might just live in this space. Really impressed with kind of just, I think I needed this to get me started. I don't think I could have come up with this on my own. That would have been helpful for me or anyone else. This definitely needed someone like you to put it all together for me, just so that I can see it. I think once I'm in it, it'll be easier for me to start adding all my stuff and filling.
And I think as long as you're prepared, like mentally, for that setup at the beginning of the semester, then you're good to go. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's just so like simple and easy and you just have to like download the template and you're going to be fine. It does require some front end work on the user's part to put in all of those assignments. But once you have all of those assignments in Notion, you'll really be able to just kind of ease from there, because it's literally just like click and drag or check when you're done, and you can kind of see it all. But it does require you to put it all in this one place.
Yeah, and I think that's really helpful to know, because All right. Is there anything else we did not talk about that would be good for students using this, whether they're college students? This would be great for, I can see this working in high school. I can see this fantastically working in college. Did we miss anything?
I don't think so. Yeah, just take it, use it how you like it.
Give us feedback on it. If you're editing this and this template and using it, share in the comments and let us know. I'll obviously share with Jordan how you're using this, and we're really excited I'm really excited. Is your boyfriend gonna test this out?
He is, yeah. He's also gonna test it. So maybe we can do a check-in, midway through next semester to see how you guys are doing.
I think that would be a really, really good follow-up video, is to just kind of say, okay, I've been using this, got about a good 4 months in there. So like 2.5 months, we could do a check-in with him and I and see how we're doing. And
definitely. I'm really glad that you guys are there to like beta test it, because like I'm not a student anymore. So I'm just kind of making this and I'm like, yeah, this is how I would use it. But if an actual student is testing it, it makes it a lot easier.
Well, as a student, I'm sure he gave you the same feedback, is this is kind of what I needed to see.
Yeah.
But I know that you and I are very different students, like as far as just like in the organizational techniques that we use.
Yeah.
And what looks good and feels good to you is more difficult for me. So I appreciate the fact that you kind of laid this out, and that Notion is a tool that makes it look right for you and for me, right? It's so versatile, because sometimes you and I both use Trello for other projects that we work on in that Kanban format. And so that's a helpful tool. I like the calendar view, but I also like that list view, so I can kind of see what's going on, and the color coding is really cool too. So I think that's just, I couldn't wrap my head around Notion for a long time, and now I think I could get hooked into it. I could easily see where this could be an opportunity for exploring Notion in a different way. So I appreciate you coming on my channel and doing this new format with me, more interview format, kind of like my podcast. I felt like I was interviewing you on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that. Information for Jordan's Planet Joe YouTube channel is in the link description below, and she'll probably post some stuff on social media as well. And so we'll cross promote this. But thanks for being on my YouTube video.
Yeah, of course.
And we'll see you in a couple months. We'll do a follow-up.
Yes.
All right. Thanks.
Sounds good.
I hope you enjoyed that video between my daughter, who is a former student and an all-around amazing planner. And don't forget to check out her YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description below. She has a new video that came out in succinct at the same time as this one did. So go ahead and check it out. As always, I know this format was a little different. Let me know if you want to see more like this in this format. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It sure helps me out. And the like button, and ring the bell if you want to be notified when more videos come out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.